Hi, this is David West again, your plebeian philosopher. Today we're going to continue our series talking about the specific issue of religion in the alt-right, alt-left, and center. Okay, so let's first talk about how the authoritarian right wing deals with religion. All right. So the authoritarian right wing deals with religion as religious tyranny. So they believe that the church can commit any evil, any harm, and they can absolve themselves of any crimes they commit. So what they do is they confuse religious liberty for religious tyranny, and there's no justice. They stamp out all justice from their practice. Authoritarian right-wing churches are covetous. You know, they covet sex, money, and power, and it's the addiction to these things that they actually celebrate and they integrate into their practices. So they'll covet money and they'll rip off their congregation. They'll rob the poor and give to themselves, and they'll buy yachts and mansions and whatnot. They'll covet power. And a lot of the coveting of power deals with merging of church and state. They really want that political power to be unquestioned. They don't want to be questioned in anything, especially not by the state. So, the authoritarian right wing, the religious tyranny, when it covets power, it will merge the church and state. So the church will become a political tool of the state, and the state will be absolved of all of its abuses by a corrupt church. So that's kind of like the give and take, the quid pro quo of that. There's no justice. There's no justice in that setting. Only tyranny. So they confuse religious tyranny, or confuse religious liberty for religious tyranny, and there's no justice in any of that. Okay, and then heresy in the far right wing and the authoritarian right wing is disobedience. So if your pastor tells you to do something horrible, something abusive, something violent, disobedience is the only heresy in that. All right, let's talk about the authoritarian left wing. It's pretty bad too. So the authoritarian left wing is, rather than religious tyranny, it's religious oppression. So the authoritarian left wing, it confuses secular justice for religious oppression, and it tries to eliminate all religion. Whether your beliefs are good or bad, it tries to stamp them out. There's no liberty. There's no religious liberty whatsoever in the authoritarian left wing. So the authoritarian left wing, it's about complete religious oppression. Typically what they try to do is they try to institutionalize an atheist national ideology, which often results in a secular political cult of the dictator. All right, let's see. All right, let's talk about the center. Center. Okay. The center allows for both religious liberty and secular justice, meaning that if your religious beliefs, if your practices are non-abusive, if your practices aren't tyrannical, then you have the complete liberty to believe whatever you want to believe. You can follow whatever religion you want to believe, or you can be agnostic, you can be atheist. So long as you're nonviolent, so long as you're not abusive, you have religious liberty. Secular justice. If you are abusive, if you are engaging in religious tyranny, if you are committing crimes and abuses and trying to justify it by your religion, then secular justice will hold you accountable. The state will hold you accountable if you're hurting people, if you're killing, stealing, and destroying in God's name. That's not religious liberty, that's tyranny, that's religious tyranny. And the secular justice will hold you accountable to that. I'm a Christian, and the way that I view myself as a centrist, and the way that I define heresy is killing, stealing, and destroying in God's name. committing tyranny, doing the devil's work in God's name is really bad. It's like the only thing worse than coveting is coveting in God's name. All right, the center supports the separation of church and state. And once again, that's to protect the church from political corruption and to protect the state from religious tyranny. The separation of church and state is very important. Okay, so this is going to be a two-parter. The second part is going to talk about specific historical examples of authoritarian right-wing, authoritarian left-wing, and centrist responses and policies toward religion. All right, and if you like what you hear, then like and subscribe, and thank you for your time.